Shabbat Shalom. I can't stop smiling. So we all know the story in the Torah portion this week. Moses goes up on the mountaintop to get the law from God. He's gone 40 days. When God says, go back down, see what the people are up to. And as we read in our Parashat this weekend, and as Moses reiterates in Deuteronomy, when he sees the people dancing and calling the golden calf their God, he smashes the tablets that he was holding in his hands. And we know that Moses then has to go back up the mountain to get a second set of tablets, just like the first set. But what we don't often talk about is what happened to that first set of tablets, those broken pieces. Surprisingly, they were not swept away. They were not put back together. They were not ground up. They were not cast aside. According to the Talmud Bava Batra, both the new tablets as well as those broken tablets are placed inside the ark. What is the Talmud saying? That our ancestors carried the broken tablets with them for those 40 years of desert wandering before they reached the land of Israel and eventually placed them both the broken and the whole, in the holy temple. So what do we learn from this? Why carry the broken along with the whole? The tablets are a reminder of our failings. So the first thing we learn from the broken tablets is not to hide our mistakes, that acknowledging them is the only way to learn from them and to grow. Psychologists tell us that one of the qualities that gives us resilience is the ability to accept that making mistakes is necessary to our growth. So ask yourself, what mistakes have I made? How do I take ownership of those mistakes? Responsibility. How do I grow from my mistakes? We need to learn to grow from falling because the second lesson from carrying the broken tablets is that brokenness is inevitable. No one makes it through life without any scars. And outside of an Olympic performance, none of us are perfect. This also teaches us that some things need to be broken in order for something new to emerge. Moses wouldn't have learned to write his own set of tablets had the first set not had to remain broken. Sometimes we need to shake our way of seeing and being in the world. For some of us, what's written on the broken tablets are old stories that we used to tell about ourselves. For others, the tablets tell of broken relationship. We can write new stories and build new relationships, stories that serve us better, relationships that are deeper. But sometimes the old needs to break for the new to emerge. We also learn from the broken tablets that we can bear any suffering as long as that suffering has meaning, as long as the suffering has purpose. Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer imagines that when Moses felt he was bringing the people the law, something they wanted, when he was fulfilling his purpose as an intermediary between the people and God, the tablets weighed nothing in his arms. In fact, the Midrash imagines that the words would carry themselves and Moses with them. He was walking on air. When we're working toward a higher purpose, we can do things we never would have imagined that we could do. But when we feel our work is in vain, when we feel it's futile, it becomes too much for us to bear. As the Midrash says, and with the words on the tablets, the words, saw the drums and the dancing and the golden calf, the words ran away and flew off the tablets, which were then heavy in Moses' arms. And Moses couldn't bear them. So he cast them out of his hands, and they were broken. Purpose and meaning give us strength. Moses got those back when he went back up the mountain and wrote the second set of tablets in his own hand. This teaches us the power of resilience. One of my favorite quotes comes from a high school principal who works in a very challenging neighborhood. When her students come to her and tell her their heartbreaking stories, things no child should have to deal with, she says, "So what? Now what?" We are often powerless to control what happens to us, but we are infinitely powerful in deciding how we react, how we act in the world. How did Moses act? Well, at first, he lost his temper. Then, he picked up the pieces and went back up the mountain and got to work. We also learn from the broken tablets that there are times in life where we feel shattered. But who said perfection is the goal? Whoever said that life would not break us from time to time? A midrash in Vayikra Rabbah teaches, as human beings, we are often ashamed when we use imperfect vessels, but not so with the Holy One. We are all broken, and we are all God's vessels. There is this strange old Jewish story. In it, a young man is standing in the middle of the town proclaiming that he has the most beautiful heart in the whole world. A large crowd gathers around to admire his perfect heart. There was not a mark or a flaw on it. But an old man appears at the front of the crowd and said, "Your heart is not nearly as beautiful as mine." The crowd and the young man look at the old man's heart. It was beating strongly, but full of scars. There were places where pieces had been removed and other pieces had been put in, but they didn't fit quite right. There were holes, there were jagged edges. The young man looked at the old man's heart and laughed. "You must be joking," he said. "Comparing your heart with mine, mine is perfect. Yours is a mess of scars and tears." "Yes," said the old man, "yours is perfect looking, but I would never trade with you. You see, every scar represents a person to whom I have given my love. I tear out a piece of my heart and I give it to them. And often they give me a piece of their heart, which fits into the empty space in my heart. But because the pieces aren't exact, I have these rough edges. And then sometimes I give pieces of my heart away, and the other person doesn't return any of their heart to me. Those are those empty gouges, those holes. Giving love is taking a chance. And although the gouges are painful, they stay open, reminding me of the love that I have for these people too. And I hope someday they will return and fill the space I have waiting. And he says, "Do you see now how beautiful my heart is?" And the young man stood silently, tears running down his face. And he walked up to the old man and tore off a piece of his perfect heart and handed it to him. The old man gave him a piece of his heart in return, and the young man looked down at his no longer perfect heart. But it was more beautiful than ever because he could feel the love of the old man flowing from his heart, the old man's heart, into his own. We have to break our hearts to be able to share it with others. When Moses breaks that first set of tablets, God could have told him to discard the mess. God could have put it back together, after all. God revives the dead, heals the sick. God split the sea, performed countless miracles. God could have certainly put the tablets back together. But instead, God insists that we carry our brokenness with us. All of us are broken in some way. That is what it means to live, what it means to love. All of us have times when we're carrying too much and we let things slip. All of us are called to carry our brokenness and share it with others, to give and take pieces of our heart. Within our brokenness, our purpose can emerge. Within the brokenness, we can find space for meaning, connection, and love. As Leonard Cohen sings, "Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." When things fall apart, when we break, it gives us an opportunity to follow a new path, create a way of understanding the world that is new, write a set of new tablets. We will be different than we were, but we will be whole. Shabbat Shalom.